Welcome back, everybody, to another deep dive.
Yep.
Today, we're going to be getting kind of like introspective and personal.
Ooh, fun.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. So we're going to be talking about this resource called 50 Emotional Journal Prompts
Okay.
from a company called LeStallion.
Ah.
And they sell journals, but that's not really what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking more about the idea of journaling as a concept.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, so if you think about it, like journaling is almost like having a conversation with yourself
Yeah.
on paper.
Mm-hmm.
It's a way to really like dig deep into what you're feeling
Absolutely.
and why you're feeling it.
Yeah.
So you're ready to kind of get
I'm always ready for some introspection.
awesome. I like it. So what I find so interesting about these prompts in particular is they're kind of set up like a roadmap.
Okay.
So instead of just being like, okay, I'm sad today,
Yeah.
they really kind of guide you through like the nuances of different emotional landscapes. Yeah. So for example, instead of just saying, okay, I'm sad, they'll ask you something like, well, what triggered that sadness?
Oh, wow.
How does that sadness manifest in your body?
Mm.
What have you learned from that sadness?
Well, that's fascinating.
Yeah, no, it's really cool.
Ah.
So LeStallion has organized these 50 prompts
Okay.
into 5 different sections. Joy, sadness, anxiety, anger, and peace.
Oh, wow. So it really runs the gamut.
It does. It does. And each section also has like a little inspirational quote.
Oh, nice.
It's kind of like a little motivational boost before you dive into the nitty-gritty.
I love that.
So I don't know about you, but like I was immediately drawn to the joy section.
Yeah.
It just has this like really uplifting energy.
Absolutely. And I think, sometimes we get so focused on dealing with the more difficult emotions that we forget that cultivating joy is equally as important for our well-being.
Yeah, for sure. And like one of the prompts in there asks, what is one memory that makes you smile every time you think about it?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Right. And like I was reading that, I was like, oh my gosh, there are so many.
Yeah.
Like, what about you? What would be your go-to like happy memory?
Oh, gosh. I don't even know if I could pick just one. I think for me, it would probably be something with my family, like a really nice vacation we took or, a holiday gathering where everybody was just laughing and having a good time.
Yeah.
Those are the memories that always bring a smile to my face.
That's awesome. And, it's funny because like research actually shows that actively recalling happy memories can boost your mood in the present moment.
Wow, really?
Yeah, because it triggers the release of endorphins.
Oh, that's fascinating.
So it's literally like having a mental photo album of happy moments.
I love that.
That you can flip through whenever you need to pick me up.
Yeah, like a little mood booster in your back pocket.
Exactly. Exactly. So speaking of pick-me-ups,
Okay.
the sadness section takes a very different approach.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. One of the prompts asks, how do you allow yourself to feel sad without judgment?
That's a powerful question.
It is. Right? It's almost like giving ourselves permission to experience those tougher emotions without beating ourselves up for it.
Yeah, I think that's so important because we often try to push away those negative feelings.
Oh.
But allowing ourselves to feel them is actually a crucial part of processing and moving through them.
Yeah, it's like acknowledging them instead of just trying to sweep them under the rug.
Absolutely. And I think that's where the idea of self-compassion comes in.
Okay.
So instead of judging ourselves for feeling sad, this prompt encourages us to just sit with that sadness and to be kind to ourselves in the process.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
All right, so moving on to the anxiety section.
Okay.
This one I feel like is going to be very relatable for a lot of people. It asks, what is one thing you can control when anxiety arises?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Right, because I feel like sometimes when that anxiety monster rears its head,
yes,
it just feels like everything is spiraling.
Absolutely. It can feel so overwhelming. Totally. So I think what's interesting about this prompt is that it encourages you to really shift your perspective. Because often when we're feeling anxious, we feel powerless.
Right, like we've lost all control.
Exactly. But by identifying even just one thing that we can control, like it could be something as simple as our breath.
Yeah.
It helps us regain a sense of agency.
I love that.
It's almost like taking back the reins from the anxiety monster, even if it's just for a moment.
Yeah, like a little bit of power back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, so let's talk about anger.
Okay.
This is a prompt from the anger section that really stood out to me.
Right.
It asks, what is one way you can channel anger into something productive?
Oh, that's a good one.
Right, because I think we all know, like, anger can be a very powerful force.
Absolutely. It can be really destructive if not handled well.
For sure. But it can also be a really powerful force for good.
Right. It's all about how we use it.
Exactly. So I think what LeStallion is doing here is they're kind of framing anger as a signal.
Like maybe a boundary has been crossed.
Yeah.
Or a need isn't being met.
Mm-hmm.
And journaling about it can help you decipher that signal and figure out what's really going on.
Oh, that's interesting. So it's like anger is a messenger trying to tell us something.
Exactly. And once you understand the message, then you can figure out how to channel that energy productively.
Right. So it could be communicating your needs more assertively or maybe even making a change in your life.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. All right. So last but not least, let's step into the peace section.
Okay.
This prompt really resonated with me. It asks, what is one emotional wound you're still healing from?
Wow, that's a deep one.
Yeah. And I think it's important because it acknowledges that healing is a journey.
Absolutely. It's not a quick fix.
It's not a destination. It's a process.
And it's a process that looks different for everyone.
Totally. So I think what LeStallion is doing here is they're inviting us to explore the complexities of emotional healing.
Right.
Without judgment and without expecting an immediate resolution.
I love that. It's about giving ourselves grace and allowing the healing to unfold at its own pace.
For sure. And, it's interesting because a lot of times we think of like, oh, when I heal from this, then I'll be happy.
Right.
But I think what these prompts are highlighting is that healing is not always linear.
Mm-hmm.
There are going to be setbacks. There are going to be moments of pain.
Absolutely.
There might even be regressions.
Yeah, and that's all part of the process.
Exactly. So it's about learning to be patient with ourselves throughout the entire journey.
Yeah, I think that's such a crucial message.
It is. It is.
Yeah, it's like tending to a garden. You wouldn't expect a plant to fully bloom overnight.
Right.
It takes time. It takes nurturing. And sometimes, it takes a little weeding out of those negative thoughts.
I love that analogy. Okay, so speaking of nurturing, let's go back to the joy section for a sec.
Okay.
There was this one prompt that really grabbed my attention. It asks, what does joy mean to you?
Oh, wow.
And it's so simple,
Yeah.
but it's so profound. Because it really makes you stop and think. Like, do we even know what truly brings us joy?
That's a great question.
Have we actually defined it for ourselves?
I think so often we just chase this vague idea of happiness.
Right.
But this prompt really pushes you to get specific.
Totally.
Like what experiences or activities or even people truly light you up.
Yeah.
It's like creating your own personalized joy map.
I love that. Okay, so back to some of those deeper emotions.
Okay.
There was one in the sadness section that really struck a chord with me.
All right.
It asks, what is one moment where sadness has led to personal growth?
Oh, that's interesting.
Right, it's like looking at sadness as a teacher.
Yeah, I love that perspective because we often see sadness as something to avoid.
Right.
But LeStallion is really highlighting this idea that even difficult emotions can be transformative.
Totally.
By allowing ourselves to feel sadness fully, we can actually emerge from it with a deeper understanding of ourselves and a greater sense of resilience.
Yeah, it's like sadness is a sculptor.
Oh, I like that.
Shaping us into stronger, more compassionate individuals.
That's beautiful.
Okay, so let's lighten the mood a bit and head back over to the anxiety section.
Okay, sounds good.
This prompt made me smile. It asks, how does anxiety manifest in your body?
Oh, that's a good one.
Because I feel like we so often focus on the mental chatter of anxiety.
Yeah, like the racing thoughts and the worries.
Exactly. But anxiety is a full-body experience.
Oh, absolutely. It definitely shows up physically for me.
Right. So I think LeStallion is reminding us here to really tune into those physical sensations and to understand how anxiety manifests uniquely in our own bodies.
Yeah, it's like learning your anxiety's language so you can better understand its signals.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
So from understanding signals to communicating effectively.
Okay.
This next prompt from the anger section feels particularly relevant.
All right.
It asks, what is one way you can communicate your anger more effectively?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
It is, right?
Yeah.
Because I think we've all had those moments where anger has kind of exploded in a not so healthy way.
Absolutely. I've definitely been there.
So I think what this prompt is highlighting is the importance of communication.
Right. Especially when it comes to strong emotions like anger.
Totally.
Yeah.
So instead of just reacting impulsively,
Yeah.
it encourages us to pause, to reflect on our needs, and to choose words that foster understanding rather than escalating conflict.
Yeah. It's like learning to handle that anger hot potato with care.
Ooh, I like that.
So you don't burn yourself or those around you.
That's a great analogy. Okay, and finally we land on a beautiful prompt from the peace section.
Okay.
It asks, how do you practice patience with yourself during emotional healing?
Oh, that's a good one.
It's a reminder that healing takes time, and it's okay to not have all the answers right away.
Absolutely. And I think this goes back to that idea of self-compassion that we were talking about earlier.
Right.
We often judge ourselves so harshly for not healing fast enough.
Yeah, totally.
But LeStallion is really encouraging us to embrace patience, to treat ourselves with the same kindness and understanding that we would offer a loved one who's going through a difficult time.
It's like being our own cheerleader.
Yeah, I love that.
Offering words of encouragement and support when we need it most.
Absolutely.
Mm.
Okay, so we've gone through quite a few of these prompts now.
We have.
What's standing out to you? What threads are you noticing in LeStallion's approach?
You know what I think what fascinates me the most is this consistent emphasis on self-awareness.
Oh, interesting.
Like every single prompt is encouraging us to look inward, to examine our feelings, and to really understand their root cause.
That's so true.
And I think that self-reflection is just so crucial for emotional growth.
Absolutely. It's like the foundation of everything.
And for navigating life's complexities.
It's like they're giving us the tools to become our own emotional detectives.
Ooh, I love that.
Instead of just passively experiencing our emotions, we're actively investigating them, understanding them, and ultimately learning to manage them in a healthier way. Yeah, it's really empowering, isn't it?
It is.
Instead of feeling like our emotions are controlling us, we can actually use these prompts to dissect them, understand them, and gain control over how they impact our lives.
It's like we're taking back the driver's seat.
Exactly.
And speaking of taking control, this prompt from the joy section is all about proactive happiness.
Okay.
It asks, what is one thing you can do to invite more joy into your daily routine?
Ooh, I like that.
Right. It's a reminder that joy isn't just this passive thing that happens to us.
Yeah.
We can actually create it.
Absolutely. And I think LeStallion does a really good job of reminding us that even small, deliberate actions can have a big impact on our overall happiness.
Totally. So it could be something as simple as taking a walk in nature.
Yeah.
Listening to your favorite music. Savoring a cup of tea. Like whatever lights you up.
Right. It's about incorporating those joy-boosting activities into our daily routines.
Exactly. It's like scattering little seeds of joy throughout our day.
I love that.
And watching them blossom. Okay, so let's shift gears a little bit and talk about self-care.
Okay.
This prompt from the sadness section really resonated with me. It asks, how do you seek comfort when you're feeling sad?
Oh, that's a good one.
Just a gentle reminder that it's okay to need a little TLC when we're feeling down.
Absolutely. We all need that sometimes.
And I think this prompt is really highlighting the importance of self-soothing. Right. So it's about identifying what brings us comfort during those tough times.
Yeah.
Whether it's taking a warm bath or reading a good book or connecting with loved ones. It's about giving ourselves permission to really prioritize our well-being.
Yeah, I love that.
When we need it most.
It's like being a friend to ourselves.
Right, exactly.
Offering that same comfort and support that we would offer to someone we care about.
I love that. Okay, back to anxiety for a second.
Okay.
This prompt offers a really practical approach. It asks, what is one activity that helps you manage anxiety?
Ooh, that's a good one.
And I love how it's focused on finding coping mechanisms that work for you.
Right, because what works for one person might not work for another.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So LeStallion's encouraging us to find our own personal anxiety-busting strategies.
Yeah, and it could be anything, really.
Right. It could be mindfulness meditation or deep breathing exercises or engaging in a creative hobby. Like, the key is to experiment and discover what effectively calms your mind and body.
Right. It's like creating your own personalized anxiety toolkit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And once we have those tools, then we can better navigate those choppy emotional waters.
Absolutely. Those tools are essential.
They are. Speaking of navigating,
Okay.
this next prompt from the anger section is all about setting boundaries.
All right. I'm listening.
It asks, what is one boundary you've set that helps prevent anger from building up?
Oh, that's a good one.
Right. Because boundaries are so essential.
They are.
For protecting our emotional well-being.
Especially when it comes to managing anger.
Exactly. So I think what this prompt is encouraging us to do is to think proactively about what boundaries we need to establish in our relationships and in our lives in general.
Right. It's about creating that sense of safety and control.
Totally.
So that anger doesn't take over.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And when we feel safe and in control, it's so much easier to find that inner peace.
It is.
Speaking of peace,
okay,
this final prompt from the peace section invites some deep reflection.
All right.
It asks, what is one lesson you've learned about yourself through emotional healing?
Oh, wow.
And I think this is so powerful because it encourages us to look back on our journeys
Yeah.
and acknowledge how far we've come.
And all that we've overcome.
Exactly.
And the strength that we've built along the way.
Right. And it's a beautiful reminder that emotional healing, while it's challenging, it can be incredibly transformative.
Absolutely.
And it's about recognizing our own strength and resilience.
Yeah.
And the wisdom that we've gained through these difficult experiences.
It's like painting for gold in the river of our experiences.
Oh, love that.
Sifting through those challenges.
Yeah.
To discover those precious nuggets of self-awareness.
That's beautiful. So as we wrap up this deep dive into 50 emotional journal prompts, I'm left with this sense of hope.
Me too.
These prompts remind us that we have the power to understand and manage our emotions.
Absolutely.
To cultivate joy and to navigate life's ups and downs with greater resilience.
I completely agree. It's been such a fascinating exploration.
Yes.
And I really hope that our listeners feel empowered to embark on their own journeys of emotional discovery.
And remember, listeners, emotional journaling is a personal journey.
Yes.
It's not a destination.
Yeah, be patient with yourselves.
Be curious.
Be kind to yourselves along the way.
We'll see you next time for another deep dive into a fascinating topic.